Welcome to the Rising Consciousness Show, 20 minutes of soulful insights and powerful tools to elevate your life experience and create with higher clarity, intention, and vision. I'm Tara Antler, intuitive healer and soul coach.
And I'm King Gabriel, spiritual teacher and practitioner. And we are the co-founders of Ascension Academy of Life,
a global center for spiritual growth, intuitive healing, and soul alignment.
Get ready to blast off.
Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of the Rising Consciousness Show. I'm all smiles right now because we were just having a really good laugh about our technological systems are, not so archaic, but I'd say fantastic tracking systems for writing down all sorts of things. And our special guest today is Christina Whiteley. And I've known Christina now for a couple of years. This is why I've got such a big smile on my face, because every time I get to connect with her, I feel like there's a soul sister connection. I said to her, I'm just rearranging some sticky notes. And she said, oh, like me. And we both had the exact same. Our desks probably look exactly the same, We said, who needs AI big systems? We've just got our sticky notes.
It's worked for a decade. Why not? Why
not, right?
Yeah.
I love it. And so I feel so grateful to have you here, Christina. It's always such a joy to have these beautiful, soulful conversations with you. Christina is the founder of Life Transformed. She is a business coach. And one of the things that she loves to do most is really be able to help online entrepreneurs transform their lives, but also to create freedom-based living. And yes, she brings in, the freedom and the creation and having a really good time because you're such a joyful person. And she also brings in really grounded sales strategies at the same time. So Christina, it's always such a joy to have you here. Thank you so much.
I love being here with you. Every conversation we have, Tara, it just lights my soul up. And I think that that's so important to surround yourself with people that give you energy. When you leave the conversation, you walk away and your day is made, right? And so I feel like that every time I speak with you.
Oh, thank you. I feel the same thing. And Christina's a fellow Canadian, also living in Mexico now. Tell everybody a little bit about your world, your life, what you're up to. And I know you've created such an incredible life for you and your family.
Yeah, it's so interesting. I love business. I love it so much. And I love helping other people create business. But I'm in this really cool chapter of my life where raising my kids is my first and foremost priority, right? Raising incredible human beings that contribute and lead in this world and have strong values. And I think that we do that by example. So it's just been this beautiful meshing of business and life that has come together. And that evolves every year. That evolves in the economy. It evolves in what is necessary and what is needed, right? As entrepreneurs, we're just constantly reinventing ourselves. And then you start to see it blossom in your children, which is so beautiful. So that's kind of where I'm at. I want to have a really beautiful life and I want to enjoy every minute. And some people, link success to the busy work that isn't really necessary. So I like to keep people on track and help them really strategize a simple way to build business to make the most money they possibly can in the least amount of time so that they have the free time to do what they love.
I love that so much. I'm like, sign me up. Yes. Yes. Because it's so worth it. I mean, I was talking to a friend of mine about this the other day and I said, I think that hustle, that struggle, that push energy, people can do it if they choose, if that's their game and that's their jam. However, I'm with you. I love every single moment I have with my kids that I get to watch them grow and expand. And I know you're doing the same thing. And you guys have made courageous moves from Canada to Mexico. And I'd love to talk about bring in intuition and how intuition has been a part of all those big decisions, because we're not just talking about, what should I call my business or what's the business strategy? That's a part of it, but we're talking bigger decisions here, big life decisions that you and your husband have made along the way to relocate, to ground into Mexico, then to have a baby after your daughter. Your daughter's, I think, the same as Aria, right? Like they both just turned 9. And so how much would you say your intuition has played a part in making these decisions in your life?
It's played a bigger part the older I get. The less I care about what people think, the more I've leaned into my intuition. And we're all kind of conditioned to live in a certain way, right? So like right out of high school, I went to university because that's what was expected of me. I got good grades, but I really failed miserably in university because that's not how I learned. So I fell asleep in every class. I didn't make friends. Like I just I got to do this. And it was something that kind of woke me up. like I didn't want, it's funny I say it now, I didn't want to be a teacher, but that's what I went to school for, because I was like, what else am I going to do? Right. And then I'm like, but actually, how's it turned out? I am a teacher, and like, I do educate people and I do help them, but it was in my own way. I never once thought to go to school for business because that wasn't part of my family history, but I've been doing this since I was a little kid. And I actually, had a friend that I've known for quite some time. And he said to me, he's like, Christina, you've been up leveling your life ever since I met you in your early 20s, your friends, your social circle, your skill set, who you are. And I was like, really? I didn't, from the outside in, I didn't realize that that's what it looked like, because I was going through the turmoil of just trying to figure it out, right? And just trying to find that alignment. But man, something happens, I think, when you finally realize that nobody else's opinion matters. And we've been brought up in this society where we feel like we have to be people pleasers and go along with the grain because it's so weird to do something else. But the more I leaned into my intuition, the more success I had, the more happiness I had in my life. And so, I ended up dropping out of university, and then I went to hair school, and I did that for a little while. And I was like, well, this is fun, and I get to be around people, and I get to make people feel confident. But like, I want to help people at a bigger level. So what would that look like? And I know that you've gone through the same process. There's like awakening to your soul's purpose. And that doesn't stop. That's like an entire lifetime of things that you get to do. And that's what I look at it as, right? Like, it's not what's the big plan. It's like, what's the next right step right now? What does that mean to me and my husband, right? Because before we would take into consideration family and all those things, which a lot of us do. And it's very important because of the bond and the connection and the support that we get. But in the end, I got to live side by side with my husband and my kids. And so those are the two people that I put first, and everything else will work itself out. And it has.
Yeah. And I love that so much, because I think there's a discernment there for people around opinions, because I think we're in a very opinion heavy world, and then intuition. And I love that you brought that forward, because what I heard and saw energetically was that regardless of what was happening around you and the opinions, whether it be the world or family or our pulls or ties, our hooks, you both went in and really listened and dialed in for what is that next best step? What is that next best thing? And when that dropped in for you, because intuition is so multi-layered as well, was it a feeling? Was it a knowing? Was it a vision? Or was it all of the above?
It was kind of a combination of all. And we've always, Ryan's my best friend. My husband is my best friend. And we have like very deep conversations about values, and we research and we listen to podcasts together and discuss, and like, what does that look like? And so we really leaned into each other too. You brought up opinions and judgments, and that's something that really holds people back, especially in this world of social media and our lives being on broadcast and cancel culture and everybody having an opinion, right? Something that I learned going through quite a bit of therapy when I was younger was it really comes back to self-reflection, right? Every disagreement or everything I was mad about, she would always put it back on me. And at the time, I would be like a little bit standoffish. Yeah, and then once I realized what she was teaching me, like once it finally clicked for me, I was like, oh, wait a second. That judgment or that feeling about that other person is actually an opportunity for growth. It's actually an opportunity to acknowledge something in myself that I don't want to acknowledge. Why do I feel that way? Okay, is that real to me? Is that not real? And then do a little bit of soul searching. And that actually helped us move forward so much faster. Yeah. Because we no longer cared what other judgments, opinions were out there. We're like, what's true to us? And like, I also want to address like this, what's my truth? Because there are a lot of people out there that have said, well, it's my truth. And with a little bit of attitude, right? Yeah. A little bit of like holy attitude. Yeah. And they don't care about hurting other people in the process because it's their truth. And what I've come to realize, the truth, how you see the world is just your lens, your experience, all of those things. Like we see it through our I like to call it rose-colored glasses, right?
Exactly.
We get to see the world now. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And so it doesn't really matter what other people think, feel, or say. It's like, what is true to us? And sometimes I need a little bit of self-reflection on that judgment. Other times I just dismiss it and move on. But when it comes to that space of intuition, it became deeper conversations. Most of the conversations, the hard conversations that people would avoid, right? And that we would actually have those conversations with love, respect, and kindness, even if they were hard. And a lot of the times we were on the same page. And if we weren't on the same page, okay, well, why? And we could find either a common understanding and an agreement, whether we agreed or not, or we're like, yes, we are rooted in truth. We are rooted in facts. This is what's best for us and our family. It doesn't matter what anybody else thinks. We're going to keep moving forward in this direction. And so that's really what sparked our move to Mexico. In the middle of a global pandemic, when everyone thought we were the black sheep, and we just chose not to make other people wrong and fight about it. We're like, okay, we're just going to opt out. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. I think that's sometimes the best thing, because there's such a waste of energy, right? When we start to put it in other people's worlds, there's such a waste of energy. And then we wonder why we feel exhausted and drained and weary, because we're not living our truth. We're not living in alignment with ourself and our higher energy and our calling. And so how did you guys, I don't think I've ever asked you this, how did you choose Mexico? Of all the places in the world, how did Mexico become the place?
It's logical. Well, we love it here. We absolutely love it here. We've been here. We traveled here. We've been together for 17 years, and we would come here a couple of times a year for 2 to 3 weeks at a time. Brian's parents have been coming here as snowbirds for 30 years.
Oh, wow.
So it was also like a little bit of a familiarity to us. We saw, what was going on in Canada and in the US, and we're like, let's just skip over that.
Mm-hmm.
And
I'm with you.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And then go to a place that honors family, that has, still has religious values, whether you believe in religion or not, or whatever that is to you. Right. But like really good, strong hearted values based around family and how we raise our kids, how they show up in the world. The food, the culture, the people are so kind and vibrant, right? Mm-hmm. Like I'm living in the middle of a construction zone right now, which is totally fine. But what makes me joyful is that I open the door and I hear Mexican music playing all over. And you hear it over the air at night, and there's mariachi bands and there's the life that we forgot to live is here, right? The weather's incredible. I didn't realize how depressing it was to live on the West Coast, where it was like cold, gray, damp, wet for 9 months of the year. I got here and I was like, I'm happy all the time. Like, this is great. Like, why didn't we do this sooner? And although people think it's a little bit crazy, we have family members that would really love for us to come home. I'm like, yeah, but this is our chapter. This is our life. This is how we choose to live, because I don't want to live in oppression. I don't want to feel bad. I choose better for my life. And not to say that we're right. I just want to put that out there. Not to say that we're right. This is just what's in alignment for us. So, I mean, I could eat tacos all day. I don't know about you.
No, I love
real
tacos.
Food?
Fish tacos.
Oh.
Fish tacos are my absolute favorite. Hands
so
down.
Delicious.
Lots of cilantro. Bring it on.
Oh, I'm a Cameroon fan. I love shrimp. So I just get to eat this all the time and be around happy people that actually really honor family. And my kids are welcome at the restaurant. They're not seen as a nuisance. My dogs
that's
welcome
the
at the
hardest
restaurant.
thing. Oh, Christina, that's one of the hardest things coming back from Mexico to Canada. When we are out, you and I have talked about this before. Yes. It's such a contrast for our kids, and for them, it's a bit of a shock to their system, because in Mexico, family is first. Everything. For real. Mm-hmm. It's not just talked about. It's not just some fancy trend. It is the way of living, right? Yes. And so coming back here, it's jarring to their system too. And I think it's really important for us as parents to pay attention to our children as well, and what is best serving for them, what allows them to thrive, what allows them to really rise up in their self, in their comfortability and who they are. And I agree with you. It's so beautiful. And so quick question for you. When you guys were choosing Mexico, because I get the feeling that you're very clairsentient. And when I was listening to your language and I was listening to how you describe things, you bring everything back to the experience and everything back to the feeling. So my sense is you're very clairsentient, right? Like we have clairsentient, clairvoyant, clairaudient, and then we have internal, external of both of those. And everything for you, it's almost as though you run it through the processing, the inner processor, right? Of what this feels like and what the experience is. And I love that, because it it allows you to be able to, like, even if you're making any big decision, business decision, life decision, your inner guidance system, your inner BS detector, it's going to fire up pretty.
It's high.
Yeah.
It's really high. And I think listening to that is so important, right? So many of us ignore those because we're settling for what we think we deserve or what we think is normal to everybody else. And I refuse to live in a normal life, right? But I'm also very intuitive. So I'm just like, is this working right now? Is it not? How could I help people at my highest level? What kind of example could I be? And that's why I talk about raising kids alongside business, is because like the journey of motherhood to me is like the greatest gift. And in today's world, it's seen as something that is a bit of a burden, like, because we have to work so hard and there's so many things, and like, and even when I had my daughter, I went through that transition and had to realize how precious life is and how precious they are, right? And I didn't want my kids to be raised in a place that they would be oppressed in any sort of way. And we had experiences like that. And I was like, this is not okay. Right. And I was very loud about that and clear about that. I've always been a bit outspoken sometimes to my detriment, but in the same sense, it just makes people feel uncomfortable because it's a reminder of them not living authentically. And so when we picked Cabo, we actually got married in south of Cancun. We got married on that side. We would go to that side all the time. But we're like, we can drive here with our dog. We can drive back and forth. I do love a good road trip. We can fly in 4 hours. It's a direct flight for our family. So, some people are like, well, why don't you go to Costa Rica or go somewhere else? Well, this is so close. We know that we're going to see family a lot more often. And to us, having young kids, that's important, right? It was easy. I know, like in the beginning, I was really nervous about bringing my daughter here and like, how is she going to adapt? And, a lot of people speak English here. Like now I'm a little bit more adventurous after being here for 3.5 years. I'm like, okay, we could definitely have a vacation home somewhere out of the city, but I love the school that she's in. You homeschool your kids, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So I looked at that and I was just like, well, I don't know. I don't know.
It's a whole other thing.
I don't know if I'm cut out for it. And my daughter either, like, she's very strong-willed, and we tried for 6 weeks and she's like, no. Okay.
She was clear. She's like, I'm not doing this.
I definitely don't want to fight with you every day, but now we've got her in an IB program down here and she's thriving. And I'm just like, I'm so grateful every day for what we have. And I also am grateful for the conveniences, because there are, some things that you have to adapt to here in Mexico. Right. But like here, there's a Costco, there's a couple of Walmarts, there's a Home Depot.
There's still maple syrup.
There's still maple syrup. You can still go get like specialty items at special stores, right? And it's just like those little conveniences. But as time goes on, you start to adapt to the culture. There's not the culture shock that there is when you actually move somewhere versus vacation, right? And so it felt right. We love the weather here, right? It's not as humid here as other places. And all of those things like align to us and our belief of where the world is going in the future with technology and the safety of it all, right? So like we also considered different areas for that reason. And we felt the most safe here. And we also have, Ryan's parents here 6 months of the year, which is another really big thing. Yeah.
It's so beautiful. Yeah. I love this life that you've created. And, I think I was just thinking about your journey because you were also a hairdresser. Yeah. And I feel your intuitive knowingness. Was it the same when you were a hairdresser? Because when you're a hairdresser, you're also picking up on a lot of people's energy. So did you feel a lot? Did you sense and feel a lot, or did it come in a different way when you were a hairstylist?
I feel like that was my training ground for life, because people would come and they would dump on you, right? Because you become their psychologist, because they just like, they trust you in a way that is just bizarre. What's happening is, I don't know if anybody's ever told you this. The moment you touch someone's head, the head is a very sacred area of the body. Like people will touch each other's shoulders and nothing, there's no exchange of energy. But the moment you touch someone's head, it's a very sacred, divine thing. And for people to trust someone else to touch their head, they have this automatic trust factor that their life is literally in your hands. And so there's an automatic opening up. And then this is where a lot of times, like you said, it's a dumping ground where they're like, wow, and here we go, And I remember thinking that too, because I know that there's only a handful of people that have that kind of job, that you're that intense and close with people. But I'll tell you, when I worked in a salon, I worked in one of the busiest salons in Victoria. I would leave the salon crying, upset, angry, like all the time, because I didn't know how to manage that. I didn't know how to protect my energy. And when I started working from home and then just doing on-site weddings, coming in and out of places, that changed a lot for me. I also had some really incredible clients that were like, hey, let me teach you how to ground. Let me teach you how to protect your energy. Yeah. Like I started to attract these people because it's what I needed in my life. And so when I started learning that, I was like, this is really interesting, because I started creating different boundaries, but that's also what pushed me to do something more, because I would have these people sit and I was like, not in a position to say, you got to break up with this guy. Like I was not in a position to say, like, you need to divorce this person, or like, you need to get rid of your job. Like I wasn't in that position because I'm just a hairstystylist. But I was like, all of these like downloads would come to me, and I was just like, and then I would have to sit and listen to the same person tell the same story for years. And I was like, this is not what I'm called to do.
No, it's exhausting.
Yeah. And then it would be frustrating to me. I mean, I would still protect my energy, but I was like, this is not me at my highest calling. This is not me doing that work.
So let's talk about your highest calling. When that started dropping in, because you were already having spiritual awakening happening in and around that time, your intuition's telling you like, hey, you're picking up on stuff. You're also, there's an intuitive knowing as to maybe how to help these people. What happened in that time? Because some people get these like really big divine downloads. Some people it's just this natural, easy, like, and then other people, it's kind of a F this, I'm done and I'm moving on. What was the experience for you that brought you out from the hairstylist world into coaching?
Having kids, right? Instantly when I had my daughter, I mean, I had a bit of a traumatic birth with my daughter, and everything changed. She didn't breathe for her first 5.5 minutes. And it was like really, really scary. And I also like look back now that I know more about birth, like my daughter, I was so scared to have a baby. And so like, against my better judgment, I did not go to any classes. I'm like, my body's going to do it anyway. So I didn't learn anything about birth because it freaked me out. I'm one of those people that if you tell me about an injury, I literally get weak in the knees. So I was like,
yeah, you're so clairsentient.
I was like, I'm not doing this. So I didn't learn anything, but now I look back and it was total negligence of what happened. So I was pretty traumatized by her birth, but it made me realize that nothing else mattered. Like she was going to be the center of my world, and I couldn't do that when I had all of this energy going into this other space. And so it made me realize that I had to shift into another way of doing business. It made me realize that maybe, going down this one path wasn't the way that I was going to help. And I actually got into network marketing and did that for quite some time before I built the confidence to be a business coach, and realized that I have a lot to give. You don't need a degree, a master's degree or anything like that to be able to go and actually help people build business. You need common sense, intuition, communication, problem solving skills, all of these things, which I had automatically. But now I'm like, why not use these for good? Why not help other people? Wow, I was giving free advice for so long and people were winning. Like, how would I just turn that into a business? And now I get to be present for my kids too. Like, this is the life that I want.
Oh, it's so beautiful. I love that. So she was the divine intervention then.
And she still is.
Right? She'll be the one that'll help navigate you, bring you back to center.
Is she ever?
It was so beautiful. What's your sign, by the way? When's your birthday?
I'm a Scorpio.
Oh, okay. So this makes sense too, because Scorpios are super sensitive emotionally. They are very, very sensitive. And so with Scorpios, and you probably know this, Scorpios, they can be the most loving, but you got to give them space. And and if they don't have space, or if they don't feel safe, or they feel like there's a threat, that's when that protective piece will come in, but they're super sensitive.
I had to learn how to navigate that. Because in my youth, sitting in trauma because of past experiences, being bullied, whenever I didn't feel safe, I reacted. And then I felt super shameful. So I would go through this like vicious cycle but it's so interesting because Isabella, my daughter, she does call me on it. She will call me on it. And then if there's conversation, she's like, Mom, I'm just a kid. I'm like, oh yeah. Okay. So let's just like break this down a little bit so it makes sense to you. But in the same sense, I'm so grateful for those moments because, and it's funny that you bring up my astrological sign because I literally did a story on it today. Because
are you serious? No, it was like hovering above your head. It looked literally like a flashing neon sign. And I almost didn't talk about it. And then they looped me back around. They said, no, like bring it forward. I said, okay, sure.
That's so interesting. I literally talked about it today because I talked about how being a Scorpio, like when people find out I'm a Scorpio, they're like, oh, that makes sense. Because I'm one of those people that if I get burned or if somebody shows me their true colors, I'm like, that's it. You get one shot. That is it. Not to say that I won't forgive and be respectful and kind and all of those things. And that there always is a way back around when two parties heal and come together and have a healed conversation. There's a beautiful thing that can happen. But I am very, like, if you burn me, that's it. and it's
I have
like,
a lot of Scorpios around me, and a lot of really successful business owners are Scorpios. My brother's also a Scorpio. Gabriel's mom was a Scorpio. I've had a lot of experience with Scorpios. And what I learned about them was actually in Costa Rica when I was doing my yoga teachers training. We had shared bathrooms at the place we were staying at for 30 days. And oftentimes you'd see tarantulas, you'd see scorpions, that sort of thing, right? Oh, yeah. It was crazy. So every morning we'd be getting up at, 5 a.m. for our practice, and then we'd shower and get ready for our day. And there was always some creature in the bathroom. And many times there'd be a scorpion over in the corner. And people often said, were you scared? And I said, well, at first, you don't know. Like you're kind of sure, right? But what I learned about them is that if you respect, like if I respected its space and I respected what it was up to, it respected me.
Yep.
And so I started applying that to all the Scorpios in my life. And I was like, this works.
So simple. It's so
like being
simple.
Stung, I'm like, I don't have to worry about being stung by a scorpion. I'm like, you just respect their space. You come into the space, equal energy, equal power, and respect. That's it.
Simple.
Very simple.
So simple.
Exactly. Simplified. It's so good.
It's true.
I love this so much. Yeah. And so let's talk a little bit about higher self and higher living. When it comes to your spiritual practice, how does that feel for you when you are in your day and you've got the moving parts of business and life and construction? You guys just had a house built and parenting. How does your spirituality and your higher self play a part in your day-to-day life?
I would have answered that question so differently 5 years ago. Now I really honor how I feel. If I'm tired, I rest. And I used to push through that. I used to like really bulldoze through those feelings. And I just realized you can only do that for so long. I'm protective of my space. I'm protective of my time with my family. If things are not a total yes, I say no. I say no a lot more often. And I think that as you evolve and start to listen more, as you know, the voice becomes a lot stronger and more decisive. And I've just really leaned into trusting that. If I don't want to do something, I don't do it. And if something doesn't feel good, I won't stick with it. And it doesn't mean that I'll burn bridges. I'll be kind and thoughtful and respectful in all of it. But I'll just kind of like, yeah, it's not, I really love that for you, but I don't love that for me.
Yeah. That's so powerful because it keeps you in alignment, and then you're in your authentic truth. Yes. You're not trying to be something that you're not. You're in your authenticity, you're in your voice, and there's power in that. And I think that that's really powerful to feel and to experience. And it will always, when you live by your higher self, it's always going to lead you to something incredible. Whether it's a yes or a no, it's always going to lead you to something incredible. So when it comes to living and making decisions by your higher self, how does it come in for you? Is it an immediate, like it sits with you, you feel it, you go, you make action, take action right away? Or are there times that you feel like you have to sit with it?
I don't have to sit up with it for too long, but if it's something that I need to move on, it'll keep me up at night. It'll be the thing that I wake up thinking about. It'll be the thing that I can't stop thinking about. And usually I can like max process it and figure out what the root cause is in 48 hours. That's but amazing. Again, I've learned to like use that discernment and like not make very, very quick decisions with an impulse and emotion. I'm just like, hey, what is that? Why do I feel that way? What is it that's really at the bottom of this? And and sometimes that's in conflict. Sometimes that's in challenge. Sometimes that's in how to move forward. Like, is it this way? Is it this way? Is it this way? And honestly, it's that inner listening that most of us don't take the time for. So if I'm really in a place, I'll just go to the beach. I'm like, hey, Rye, I got to go to the beach for like a couple of hours and just look at the ocean, have my feet in the sand and ground, and just be like, okay, what is this? How am I going to do how am I going to get the outcome that I want in a way that is most impactful and peaceful?
I love that.
Right?
It's very honoring.
Yeah. And it's so funny because people look at me as a business mentor, but a lot of it is spiritual and a lot of it is stuff that, like what you do, how you empower people is so special, Tara. And to me, it's so refreshing to have friends that I can actually come and have these kind of conversations with that are outside of the realm of like, get to it and get it done and all these other things, all these other things that happen in life. And I'm just like, actually, I'm usually being guided by not only my intuition, but by my being rooted in values and my belief system. And like, does that need to shift? Does that need to change? Or am I like very true to what I'm doing, regardless of what anybody else is doing around me?
Yeah, that's so powerful. And the last question I have for you today is this. You're already living what I would call a heaven on earth experience. You're living in a beautiful space. You have an incredible family. You're living on point. You're living your purpose. You're living in alignment with your truth, and you're really honoring yourself. When you feel into bliss, heaven, joy, abundance, health, all the wonderful things on earth, what comes to mind, energy, feeling for you when you tap into that? Because I feel like for you, the next expression is the expansion. But I'd love to hear what that feels like for you. When you hear creating heaven on earth now, what comes into awareness for you?
Being present. Being present with right now, because there's so many distractions. There's so many things going on in the world. And not to say that we don't pay attention to it. We pay attention to socioeconomics. We pay attention to politics and geopolitics. We pay attention to all of those things because we want to make good decisions. But I don't sit in that. I'm like, here it is, dismiss it. Here it is, dismiss it. Here it is, right? But practicing presence, like sometimes if I'm thinking too much in my head, I'm going to go to a puzzle with my daughter and like just sit there for hours with her, right? Or like, let's color, let's do something that is like creative and take that out of this body experience. Because just because you live this blissful life doesn't mean that you don't feel stress. You don't feel anxious. You don't feel any of the human feelings that we're here to feel, that we came to feel. It was funny. I had this conversation with somebody else the other day, and I was like, this time around, let's just hang up there a little bit longer and like just have a little bit more inner peace up there. And we'll come back and do this another time because this is a little heavy for me right now, right?
Oh, yes.
But that presence of like, what's happening right here, right now? Well, I can look outside and I see the sunshine. I see the plants that I haven't killed over the last 2 months, which I'm really happy about, right? I'm like, they're actually blooming. This is amazing, right? I get to watch the waves come in from our view in the front, right? Like every day I get to put nourishing food in my body and have conversations with my daughter that I'm so grateful for, right? And cuddles with my son and just like get to go up to my husband and give him a hug and just like feel the warmth of his body on my body and like just take it all in, because we don't do that often enough. We are so busy. We are so busy with busy work that often we don't take the time to breathe. And like, even in the morning when I go for a walk, there's a red cardinal that I see. And now I'm like, oh, I hear that red cardinal. Where is it? Right. And I'm like starting to recognize those things. And to me, I'm so grateful just to have those moments of peace and clarity in a world that seems to be zooming by.
Yes. I so resonate with that. There's definitely a powerful piece in just being present, because then you get to experience all that you've created, and you really have created something exceptional, something so beautiful. And I want to honor you and celebrate you for that. And I honor that you are enjoying it and being in it and experiencing it, because that's the last piece of the creation puzzle. Is we get these ideas and then we create it and then we have to experience it. And you're in the experiential of it. And I love that so much.
Yeah.
Where's the best place for people to find more about you, your work, what you're up to in the world?
Thank you. You can get a hold of me on social media, Christina Whiteley on Facebook with an extra E, and then at the Christina Whiteley on Instagram. I also have a website, ChristinaWhiteley.com. You can send me an email, info@ChristinaWhiteley.com. I just want to have a conversation. I love getting to know people. I love networking. I love connecting people with the right people they need in their lives, right? Like, it brings me so much joy to see people win and live a life on purpose. Right.
Yeah.
And so that's really what I'm here for. And I really appreciate this conversation. You are so refreshing. You're so refreshing every time I talk to you. And I just love you so much. So thank you for having me.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I love you so, so much. And blessing you, your family, all the wonderful work that you're doing in the world. And thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you so, so much.
Thank you, Tara.
Thank you. Before you go, if you are ready to awaken your next level self, activate your intuitive gifts, and step into the highest version of you, Gabriel and I want to invite you to our next beautiful, sacred, transformational experience called the Pearl Activation, Living and Being Your Higher Self. It's taking place on June 23rd to the 27th. It's 100% free. This is going to be a beautifully, intuitively designed experience for you to really elevate your life, step into your soul purpose, expand your consciousness, remember why you came here, awaken your own intuitive gifts to the next level, and amplify your impact as a leader. This is all about truly embodying your higher self every single day. So I want to extend this sacred invitation for you to transform your life from the inside out and create your most expanded version of you, the version of bliss, heaven, joy, prosperity on earth that you know is possible, that you've been holding in your heart. So I want you to click the link below in the show notes. This is our time to radiate our light brighter than we ever have before. And we can't wait to see you there. Thank you so much for joining us today on another episode of the Rising Consciousness Show. For more high vibration conversations, meditations, energy activations, and tips and tools on creating your most exceptional life, we lovingly invite you to connect with us at academyoflight.ca. The website is www.academyoflight.ca. It is time to create your heaven on earth experience, and we look forward to sharing this beautiful journey with you.
You're listening to Rising Consciousness, yeah.
Woo!
Woo!